what is the difference? How different or difficult is it for people applying for startup funding versus expansion funding? Khanif, let me start with you.
Yeah, startups is always difficult. I think because the key issue there is the market, right? You don't have a market yet. You're starting your business, so you're wanting a DFI to put money behind you, right? I think just to clear up a misconception, DFIs generally don't provide 100% of the funding. So, for example, you require 5 million rand for a startup. We won't put in 100% of that funding, right? We require some own contribution from entrepreneurs, what we sort of refer to as skin in the game, right? And that could be any amount, but you have to put in something, right? If the IDC, for example, has to put in the 100% of the funding, that means it's our startup. We're taking all the risk, right? It's not that we won't support startups, but we want there to be a coming together of everyone, ourselves, the entrepreneur, and sometimes entrepreneurs have additional sources of funding. Then why is it difficult, right? Because when you do a startup application, there's a lot of things that you need to think about. Obviously, it's easier depending on the type of startup. Clothing and textiles is quite easy to start up. You need a couple of machines, you need material, you have your designs, you need a bit of skill to sew and so forth. But say, for example, you want to start a plastics manufacturing company. Now, that's a whole different dimension. You may have the background, say you worked in the plastics industry, you worked on that type of machinery. You may have the technical background to do the production process, right? But you may not have that technical background to actually commission a plant, right? So that's where
that's the I'm going to stop you there because we got to keep the answers short and sharp so that I can answer people's questions. So I got you. Sean, did you want to add the difference between expansion and startup funding and the challenges of those differences?
Yeah, I think Khanif is sort of actually pretty much put it nicely, you know. Startups, you have to find, we need to verify the market that is going to be obtained. Expansion is easy because there's a trend, that we can follow and see if the business has the affordability. So generally, startups are difficult to finance. And I mean, pre-COVID, only about 8%, I think, of startup make it past year 3. So that statistic gives you how difficult it is to start a business. That's why I emphasize again, build networks, build the ecosystem. Expansions are much, much easier in terms of the due diligence, in terms of verifying the market and seeing where the risk in the business are that you need to capacitate, and bring in, industry experts, to make sure that the business grows. But we do have to fund startups. And I believe that startups, the first 6 months of the startup, or I would say the first 18 months, that's the infant stage. It's like a baby being born. That 18 months is crucial in a startup. That's why entrepreneurs have to be focused, have to be lean, have to make huge, huge sacrifices. Past that 18 months, then I think the business should be fine. But generally, startups are more difficult to fund in an expansion transaction. Thank you.